Thank you everyone for joining and welcome to the Sense webinar series where industry experts from HR and recruitment share innovative, actionable insights while having a little bit of fun. My name is John Furenchak. I am the Vice President of Corporate Sales at Sense, an automated communication and engagement platform created for talent. In a recent study by Deloitte, recruiters are spending currently over 25% of their time performing email management. And in this next hour, we will focus on helping recruitment teams build a strategy to address the challenges of communicating with talent at scale while being asked to do more with less. Fear not, because today we are thrilled to have a special guest host, the Cape Crusader of candidate communication, founder of Wayne Technologies and friend of Sense, Mike Batman Cohen. Mike, thanks for sharing your expertise with us today.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that, and I always love me a good alliteration, which is great. So thank you. Um, awesome. So I'm gonna get things rocking and rolling here. I'm gonna share my screen, and we're gonna kick this thing off. If anybody has any audio or video issues and can't hear me while I'm doing this, please let me know, and I will attempt to adjust as we go. All right, so guys, here's me, here's John. I'm who's talking now. John's who was talking before. We're gonna go over some email best practices, and this is general communication. So it doesn't have to just be email. This is text message. This is LinkedIn messaging. It's just generally psychologically and formatting. How are we communicating with people? And so here's a little bit about me. As you mentioned, I don't even remember the full alliteration. It was amazing, and I wish I like wrote it down. Thank God this is being recorded, which will answer most of everybody's questions. This is being recorded. You will have a copy of it. I'm the founder of Wayne Tech. We are a bunch of sourcing subject matter experts, so we do sourcing on demand. I am a conference speaker because I absolutely just love training and helping people, and also I like being the center of attention, which Dave Miller says can barely hear me. Can other people hear me? Can I get like some yeses or thumbs up or dog pics in the chat? Can y'all hear me? Yes. Oh, cool. Thanks. Hard to hear me. Hear me good on the soft side. Don't worry. Check this out. Boom. Hopefully that's a little bit better. Had a little bit louder now. If not, yeah, good stuff. Okay, great. Cool, guys. Thanks. Thanks for all the communication. I feel less alone. I mentioned I like being the center of attention. That also presents itself in the world of me being a cycling instructor. So I'm that person blasting EDM music, telling you to pedal faster. I also am a big fan of pushing limits and boundaries. And what I'm showing is the way I've done this physically. It's me running the New York Marathon and then me doing a half Ironman. If you've ever seen me in person or you're really looking hard at that picture, you may be thinking, whoa, you ran more than 100 feet. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. It's not my frame and build. But also professionally, it gets me into some trouble, right? Pushing those boundaries and limits, but it's also what enables me and the folks I deal and work with to kind of push boundaries beyond the quote unquote normal way of doing things and to find really effective, cool ways of doing things. Also to find really ineffective and terrible ways of doing things, but it comes with the territory. I love memes and GIFs. If you do not like memes and GIFs and or humor, I think the red button is the leave button. I encourage you to rock that one real quick. And I have two awesome dogs. That's Blue and Honey. I love them more than 99.9% of the humans I've ever met. And I'm a super blessed husband. That's my wife. She is my rock. She's totally kick ass. She actually works for Mercer HR. And she and I are blessed enough that we get to speak at some conferences together. So can connect about that offline. And this idea of being flawsome, this is something we got to embrace, guys. If we want to move forward with this and really knock this out of the park, we need to understand that we're going to totally mess this up and that it's really okay. It doesn't speak any less to us as a person or an employee or a recruiter, etc. So what are we doing? we're going to go over some data and suggestions, like where did this come from? Why are we talking about this? Subject lines, messaging. We'll go over some general best practices, and then I'll show you actually some examples of what I mean and how I'm messaging folks. So this is a very great quote that I love by William Deming, who I believe was an author. I should remember that, but I don't. So where did this actually come from? So I spent like probably a year and a half, 2 years now, seeing people post things online like, this is an amazing subject line, right? And it's something just ridiculous, right? Like unicorns eat carrots too, or something weird, right? And so I always ask, like, hey, where's the data for that? Like, where's your data to support saying like this is a really effective thing, right? And here's the deal: data has to come from one of two places: either research, and I mean scientific research, not going to people's Facebook pages and see what they're posting, or historical data. Show the work you've done and show the results. And A/B test it. Don't just show one side of the results. So all of this to say, if anybody tells you this is a great subject line, this is the best message, this is the blah blah, whatever it is, just say, cool, show me the data. And the 95% of the time where they can't do that, just move on to the next human. This entire presentation is built around psychological research I've done, and I share all the journal articles I've downloaded and read, and my historical research, and I A/B test everything and I screenshot it, so it's not me just telling you. So, subject lines. Number one, super important, understand your audience. So, this is to say, like, we need to just make sure when we're going into these messages, like, do we understand the difference between reaching out to a CDL truck driver and a software engineer, right? And if you're like, yeah, one drives a truck and one drives a computer, right? Like, yeah, I get it. Also not true. But do we understand like why they tend to look for different jobs, right? Growth, money, being home at night, working remote, whatever it is. So really, really important to just give literally like a 10-second thought, like, okay, why typically do these folks look for new jobs? The next, looking at subject lines, there are only two reasons why people will open an email, an in-mail, or a text message. It is utility or curiosity. Utility is, I'm really hungry, I haven't eaten yet, and Pizza Hut emails me, and the subject is, for the next hour, free stuffed crust pizza. Guess what? That email's getting open, that pizza's getting eaten, right? The curiosity is piquing my interest. I don't really know what the rest of the email's kind of telling me or about. So for me, that would be something around like Pattinson replaced as new Batman. I'm like, whoa, what? Right? I'm opening that email. So the problem with utility is it's very based on the moment in time where the people are reading your message. If you don't catch them at the right time or with the right need in that moment, the utility subject line is going to flop. Curiosity is very, very consistent. People constantly have FOMO. And fear, right? Fear of missing out, FOMO. Fear is the number one driving emotion behaviorally. So the number one emotion that influences human behavior is fear. Curiosity breeds fear. I know if you're thinking, well, I don't want to breed fear. I get it. You want to breed curiosity, though. You want people to ask questions like, what is this about? For all of the journal articles I post, you can see the link on the bottom that says waynete.ch/open email article. Those are actually links to the journal article that I'm referencing here. Feel free to go there, check it out, read it. Always fact check me. Personalization rules. If you go online or you read this particular psych journal article, it's going to give you a whole bunch of rules, positive and negative. And if you tried to format every single email to fit every one of these rules, you would basically be spending half your day working on subject lines and would ultimately wind up getting fired. So please don't do that, right? But important to know just generally some of these rules, and I highlighted just some of them. So that way you guys can kind of see what they're testing. But here's the thing. I've got a super hot tip for everybody. Before I do that, John, I literally told you I was going to do this thing, and then I didn't do this thing. So like, I owe you a beer next time I see you, guys. For questions, I'm not doing Q&A at the end. If we have time, cool. But here's the deal: interrupt me in the middle of this by typing something in the chat. I'm watching it the entire time. If you are waiting to ask me a question at the end, you may be really disappointed. Just put the question in, and I will go live and answer your question or show you whatever it is right now. I'm here to help, not here to go and just present through this stuff. So that being said, I'm going to pause for a second. Does anybody have any questions thus far? I thought it was pronounced GIF. We're going to have really serious words about this offline, Tom. Okay. So, Tom, man, this is a site that spins my whole head out. So the inventor of GIFs called it GIF. But here's the thing. Like, I think like 80% of the world or something stupid high like that calls it GIF. And so like, he doesn't own it, so I'm going with mass populace on this. Also, the main distributing company for these GIFs is GIPHY, and I will be damned if I call them Jiffy. So that's where that goes. Yeah, Chris. So I've got an even better subject line tip for you right here. You ready for this? Use their company name. Right. So if I were reaching out to Wendy Liu, one of the amazing ladies who's helping to put this on today, I would literally put in the subject line sense. Right. If you were reaching out to me, it would mean you would put in the subject line Wayne Tech. Right. Because you want to clean up the data. Now, we're not asking questions. It is literally just the company name. What do I mean? Check this out, guys. So I'm telling you, this is a really great thing to do. This is me showing you historical data. The blue and white that you see is one campaign. So these are two campaigns you're seeing. I'm showing you the number of people reached. I'm showing you the number of opens. That's what we want to look at here. Okay, ready? The first one, I A/B tested it. We're looking at 44 and 42 people emailed. SVP of people, blank slate, Business Insider, 100% open. Their company name, 100% open. Next one, the FinTech shop, 59 million in funding as a DevOps engineer, reached 50 people and got a 50% open. Their company name, 49 people and a 69% open rate. Company name versus any interest in a new recruiter role, 77 versus 75. Global tech company, head of people, 41. Company name, 50. I can literally keep doing this. I could probably do this for an hour. So I've been A/B testing this for 3 years, right? InfoSec manager role at New York Times, right? Company wins again. Redbubble needs a marketing about company wins again. And you're seeing I'm not reaching out to 5 or 10 people, right? We're reaching out to like 100 to 200 people at a clip with each of these. And it's consistently winning. Right. Oh, look, another 2 examples. Yeah, health tech company, 76, blah, blah. Company versus fintech shop, 59 million funding software engineering manager. That should be a really sexy subject line, crushed by their company name. Here are the 2 examples in the past 2 years that where the subject line did not outperform the other. Again, it's important that you know where this breaks down also. This particular search, the one up top, was for a very, very specific type of GM role. And it was pulling people who were not yet a GM from tech companies into this tech company. So it was very appealing to know that. And it only won by 2%. This bottom one was for messaging that we wrote for a role in South Korea. And I did a piss poor job of researching how best to communicate with English speakers in South Korea. So that is my fault. And that is why this happened. Question, are these CRM messages to the company? No, these are messages to the candidates. We're just putting their company name in the subject line. Does that make sense? Cool. Rachel asks, how would you interpret that the replied rate is lower for the majority of these than the open rate? The reply rate will always be lower than the open rate, 100% of the time. You're basically saying, did you open the email? Like, did you click on it to read the email versus did you actually click reply and write back to me? if anybody had, lower for the company name subject line versus the other subject line. So a bit of that has to do with the messaging itself and who it was targeting, and a little bit of it has to do with a little bit of the luck of the draw on this one. So the subject line goal is to solely get somebody to open the email. And I'll ask this for everybody because this is a question I genuinely ask of everybody, and anybody who wants to add on can add on here. What's the purpose of sending an email to a candidate? What do you guys think the purpose of sending an email to a candidate is? This is not a rhetorical question. General heads up on the role or the company. Okay, it's from Ryan. Build a relationship. Hey, there it is. That's what I was looking for. Ready for this, guys? There's literally, yeah, Sayali and Deanna. Ready for this? It's to get a response. Period. That's it. That's it. Anything else beyond that isn't the intent of sending the email. It's a methodology or an end result. Sharing company and role information, building a relationship. Those are methodologies, right? Communicating about a role, selling somebody on a role. Those are end results that you want to wind up getting. The only goal in sending an email is to get a response. If that's not your goal in sending the email and you're not doing marketing, stop sending that email. I got a question. What if they do not have a company to use? My interpretation of your question is, what if they're not like currently employed somewhere? In which case I will just put your job search, right? And see, and then use that kind of as my filler there. Tom, hopefully that helps answer your question. Also, the company name of the position offering a role. Yes, Chris. So like if my client, ABC company is hiring and I'm reaching out to you and you work for, a Coors Light. I don't know why in the world that's what came to my mind. I don't even drink beer. But that's where I'm at now, Chris. Sorry, you work for Coors Light fictionally. My message to you would say Coors Light, not ABC company. And hopefully that makes sense. And I'm sorry that I positioned you for working at Coors Light. That's my bad. So guys, super, super, super important if you're going to do this. And I promise you, you just saw it's super effective for open rates. You have to clean up your data. So what do I mean? I mean, for this one, for example, right here, the Adventure, if I reached out to this person and my subject line was Adventure Technologies, LLC, that person's going to know that I'm just populating that data from somewhere, right? Because that's not what it calls it. Same thing for down here, Amazon Web Services. Could you imagine going up to somebody who works there and be like, hey man, how's life at Amazon Web Services? They'd be like, are you drunk? It's AWS. What are you doing? Everybody knows that. Use the name of the company for the opening subject. No need to say what the role was. Name brand recognition. So no, the company that you're putting in the subject line is the company the candidate currently works at. So it's the company they are currently at. Gets a very high, consistent over years of testing open rate because it piques curiosity. Yeah, dude, everybody has that same response. They're like, really? And ultimately, ready? If I'm telling you something in this, just go try it. Don't take my word for it. Try it, A/B test it yourself, and let me know what the results are. Here's the reason why, for anybody who's thinking like, really, you're just going to put their company name. If you reach out to me and the subject of your email is Wayne Tech, it's the name of my company. My first question is, what about Wayne Tech? Well, it's my company. I work here. I need to know what's going on. You're going to open that. And so it piques that curiosity of what's going on. Now, a caveat again to this, guys, and I'm going to pause here to say this because it's super important. If you put their name, their company name in the subject line, you have to ask them how things are going at that company. You can't just put it in the subject line and never bring up why it was in the subject line. So you'll see my examples, but I will put in the subject line, right? Like for Chris, who fictionally works at Coors Light now, Coors Light. And then I'm like, hey, Chris, things going all right, or at least stable at Coors Light since we're halfway through 2021. And now you're referencing that subject line. So you're not doing a weird thing where like, you know, I'd reach out to like Felicia. Sorry, I'm just looking at random names here. Felicia being like, you know, unicorn eats crazy polar bear, right? And you're like, whoa, what? And then I never mention that again in the entire email. It's like, what the heck are you doing, right? So you want to make sure that we're like touching on that and asking how things are going at that company. If you are not going to use the company name, which is totally cool, I'm waiting for somebody to come up with a consistent subject line that beats that. You have to try and keep your subject lines to less than 37 characters. If you want to know about how long that is, the phrase "keep them to less than 37 characters" is 36 characters. Yes, that took me forever to come up with that. Why? Why do we have to keep them to less than 37? So on this left side here is actually a study conducted by Litmus, and you can see it, right? 1 point whatever billion emails tracked. Look at how many of them are opened on the phone. Number 2, number 8, all opened on the phone. Number 6. So here's the thing, guys. If you see on the right, I screenshotted my Gmail app and I screenshotted my Apple, whatever it is, the Mail app, right? In the subject line on both of these devices, on an Apple iPhone 8 and an Android equivalent, only 41 characters will show up. If you type 42 characters, you get the ... and it cuts off a ton of your subject line. I'm going to repeat that. It will show you 41 characters. If you type more than 41 characters in the subject line, it will cut off a bigger chunk, not just 3. It will cut off a bigger chunk of your message with a ... Now, I know it's Thursday, it's early afternoon, maybe we're not mathing really well, but maybe you're wondering, well, why does it say 37 characters, but you're saying 41? Like, why? Because when I send you a message and I send a second email, it's going to put RE : space. And if we're mathing, 37 plus 4 is 41. So all of those emails will still continue to show up again. Hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, let me know. So subject line length. If for whatever reason you do not believe that a short subject line is effective, here are 2 scientific studies, and they're showing you the corollary coefficients of how effective subject line length is for retail and consumer services. Recruiters, we're consumer services, just FYI. Here's the deal. Ready? Marketers should keep in mind the following rules of thumb. And if you don't think we're doing marketing, we have a whole nother conversation to have. Number 2, keep the subject line as short as possible to convey the message. If you don't believe me, go to the link. There's the scientific journal article. Read it. Let's cover a couple of myths here. Using numbers in the subject line. On the left, you're going to find 2 articles that talk about, yes, you should put numbers in the subject line. On the right, you're going to find 2 articles that say, no, you shouldn't put numbers in the subject line. Here's the deal. Test it. Don't listen to any of them. If you have that much contradictory info, just test it. What I'm showing you are my tests when I put numbers in the subject line. They don't work as well for open rates. So guess what? I don't put numbers in my subject lines anymore. But I wouldn't know that unless I tested it for myself. So, next myth. Guys, asking a question in a subject line. Do we think that this is a good thing or a bad thing? What do we think? Asking questions in the subject line, good or bad? Deanna says good. Chris says good. Oksana says annoying. Good, bad, good, bad, awful, bad. Okay, ready for this? Nice rhyme. Ready for this? Boom. Scientific study telling you you should ask a question in the subject line. Another scientific study by one of the most trusted resources in messaging saying, no, You should not use questions in your subject line. What's the right answer? I don't know. Test it for yourself. For us, it does not yield a higher result, so we don't use it. Why am I showing you this? Because you're always going to hear people say, this is the best, this is the best, this works, this doesn't work. If you are not testing it for yourself, you're not actually going to know what works when you're looking at contradictory information. Spam words and phrases. So here you go, guys. Here's the list of the top 100 email spam trigger words and phrases to avoid. And here's another list of words. They're a little bit different, but it's okay. Here's the ultimate list of spam trigger words, but this one's actually a different list. It's got some better words. This one's got a little bit shorter, but maybe good. Don't worry, this has got 455 of them to avoid. And here's the deal, guys. All of these share different words. So what can you take from this besides the fact that that was an obnoxious use of 10 seconds of your life? No one knows what triggers spam filters. We have ideas, we have rough estimates, we have things that have triggered it for us in the past, but we don't know because Gmail, Google, Apple Mail, they're never going to release that information. It would be a marketing heyday. If I knew exactly how many emails I could send before it triggered a spam trigger, guess what? I'm sending 1 minus that number, right? They're never going to release that. So be mindful about the spam words and phrases and be just a little logical about how we're approaching, like, how does this sound to us? Does it sound spammy? Cool. I'm going to take a quick pause because now we're moving to the body of the message. Do you guys have any questions on the subject line itself? That was a ton of subject line information. So if you guys have got anything, pop it into the chat, pop it into the questions. If you don't have anything, you can share whether you're a dog or a cat person, what your favorite color is, or what your favorite number is. If right now you're zoning out watching anime, you're my type of people. I get you. Thanks for listening still. Any opinions on emojis and subject line? Peter, I have an opinion, but no data to back it up. This is purely an opinion. For me, it comes across as spammy when I read it, so I don't use them. I have zero data to validate whether it's effective or not, so you'll have to test it for yourself. Karen, we're real close. I'm Dog Purple 12, so like we're pretty awesome. The new season of Star Trek Picard looks amazing. I'm actually not a huge Star Trek goober. Sorry, I know that's like a fallacy in life, I guess. Mike says we should not use emotion, to which I'm going to prep you the same way that I do for everything else. Cool. Show me the data as to why we should not use emotions, and I will absolutely support that maneuver. But if we don't have A/B tested comparisons using emojis or not in the subject line, we can't definitively say do or don't. Dogs, yep, the Force is with me. I think that's Star Wars. I love that. Cool. Yep, Chrissy, yeah, I wish I could answer the emojis question. I just, like, honestly, I don't have the data. It's one of those things. If any of y'all want to try A/B testing and come back, I'll gladly have you come on, do one of these webinars with me. Would love to rock that. Yeah, Tom, that's a good point, right? The green, yellow, and red circles that Sense uses to kind of give you an idea of like urgency, for example. Not bad. I'd love to see somebody try that. So thanks, guys. I love that I've got a pretty dog heavy crowd here. That's awesome. And I imagine the rest of you that are cat people just know that I'm a dog person, so you're hushing. So good on you. Body of the message. Now we're in the meat and the potatoes, right? The content. I'm going to harp on this point for probably until the day I die. Is it's super important to message using your own voice. Okay. This is actually a scientific study from freaking forever ago that literally says, if you read this, ready, it may be a little difficult because it's a figure that I pulled out from the study, but the format should email most like writing and speech. And ready for this, guys? The lexicon for the grammar should be predominantly speech. What does that mean? That means if you are saying, dear so-and-so, stop doing that. That's not how you talk. Question, thoughts of a blank subject line. There have been studies on this, and some say yes and some say no. I actually just haven't tested it because it scares the crap out of me, because I fear like I'm going to get a really crappy response rate, and I don't want to mess up a campaign doing that. Some people say it's cool because of the curiosity. For me, it makes me think that somebody forgot to do something, and so like I'm hesitant about it. But again, I have zero data. Dimple, subject line that really works. Yeah, we talked about that. It's their company name where they work. Write like you talk, 100%. So, guys, how do you know if you are writing in the way that you talk, right? Here's to, again, what the one on the left is a book. I wouldn't suggest buying it. It's not great. The one on the right is a scientific study. Feel free to read it. But guys, how do you know if you're writing in the way that you speak? You read the email out loud, right? And this isn't what I mean, by the way. When you talk, you have to be much simpler than you can afford to be when you write. But no. Read it out loud. In much the same way, seasoned email users seem to be increasingly relaxed about the technological limitations of the medium. That does not sound like anything that I would ever say. So I know that I need to go back and rewrite that. Guys, most of us are working from home. You can speak out loud and nobody but your dogs are going to judge you, and they love you anyway. Say it out loud. I know it could work. If you know this movie, we could probably hang out and have a beer or whatnot. Again, I don't actually drink beer. It'd be whiskey, but that's not important. So if anybody knows what movie that was, type it into the chat, and the folks over at Sense will give you a free round of applause when we're done. So did a little experiment at one point. Yeah, thanks, Dave. It rocks. Did a little experiment at one point with a buddy of mine. And we both emailed a list of candidates, right? So we had roughly 200, and we divided it up between the two of us. On the left are my messages, on the right are his. Now, he messages in a very personal way, but it's not actually his voice. It's not how he speaks. Okay. So we emailed from the same email address about the same job at the same client, emailed at the same schedule. We just took a group of 200 people, divided it in half. So check this out. On the left is me. That's actually how I talk out loud. On the right, you're going to see his is a little more hokey, right? Still personal, right? So people are like, oh, I was really personal in my email. I'm like, yeah, but was it you? Right? So if you look in this first one, open rates relatively close. You'll see the open rate much lower with the number in it again. So further validating for me. He had a 5% response rate. I had an 11%. Next one, same type of thing, guys. Right? Look on the right, you're going to see like a little bit of a more like hokey type of message. But that some people would be like, oh, that's really personal. No, it's really casual. Very different. The one on the left is actually how I would talk, right? I want to follow up from an email yesterday about the senior marketing strategist role. Have you had a chance to check out our site yet? SmartBug's a national leading agency voted as having the best work-life balance, and they were HubSpot's global partner of the year in 2018. We're one of the fastest growing private companies in Orange County, and we're nominated as one of the biggest innovators of the year. I talk. It sounds very natural. So I'm communicating with you. I'm just telling you some stuff, right? The signals received from you were strong, and I'm here for you. And yes, you should not skip lunch today, which, by the way, doesn't actually work if you're sending that after like 1 p.m. I assume you're most likely not looking for a job, which is great. I'll cut to the chase. When's the last time you used the phrase, I'll cut to the chase when talking to someone? Oh, if you look at the stats at the bottom, I had a 9% response rate. He had a 2% response rate. Here we go again, right? Again, you can read this. You don't need my auditory response here. So give it a quick little read, and then again, check out the responses: 11% versus 1%. During one-to-one, we use cut to the chase. That's awesome. I'm going to remember that forever, Mike. Thank you. Question: would you change this based on industry? No, I would not. Why wouldn't I make this a little more serious? Because people like being communicated with authentically, and everybody loves humor. I've talked, now you may change the type of humor, right? Software engineers, you may use more like pop culture references. Accounting and finance, you may use more like topical accounting and finance references. For executives, you may use more like business or very well known references. But by and large, everybody likes humor. There is no one, I've got proof for this, by the way, which you can do is make sure you talk to someone in pharma, someone in finance, and an executive, and tell them a joke that gets them to laugh. Whatever the joke is, it doesn't matter. It can be different for all of them. Just get them to laugh. And then when they're done laughing, ask them, hey, was that enjoyable? And they're going to look at you like you're a friggin' crazy person because obviously it was enjoyable. They were laughing. So it doesn't matter what space you're in, what seniority you're in, humor and authenticity or humor and authenticity. Last one, I always send a meme, right? So this is one that I'm talking about. This is a super well-known image. You could send this to, a seasoned CTO. You could send this to a mid-range marketing person. They're going to get it the same way. So again, if you look, my response rates on this one are the same, but check this out. Overall, when I was writing in my voice, 30.5% reply rate compared to a 9.8%, being what some people would say was personable and humorous, but I would say was casual and unauthentic, not authentic. So use humor. Again, if you get this movie, that's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Here is a scientific journal article that says in the third line down, if you read it, names and addresses must be checked, appropriate subject lines used, and humor applied conscientiously. It is literally saying the preferred way of sending an email is to use humor. Now, again, conscientiously, right? We're not going to send out anything involving politics, social issues, race, religion, age, gender, ethnicity, sexual preference, etc. That is why topical to the job, business, or pop culture, they're safe. Business, you even have to be a little careful still. Pop culture is the safest. Stranger Things makes a really great meme because most people have seen it or at least are aware of it. So using images, memes, and GIFs, because a lot of people say like, well, that's not really in line with my business. They don't like us doing that. And my response is, cool. Here's a scientific study that again shows the corollary coefficients. And it says, hypothesis 4, higher response rate correlate with more images. So I tell people, cool. I get that maybe that's your culture, and it's okay to have a culture that doesn't value response rates over maintaining their corporate culture, perceived corporate culture in an email. So totally cool. Do what you want. Here's the science behind it. Also, by the way, hypothesis 3, response rate is inversely related to the length of the email. Shorter email, higher response rate. Don't take my word for it. Read the journal article yourself. Body of the message using colors and a different font type. So what do I mean? I'm not saying, by the way, for the record, do not change the background color of your email or your font color throughout the email. Do not do that. What I'm saying is when you have links in your email, make sure they're hyperlinked. Make sure they're blue and underlined. In your signature, make sure you have some type of color. Maybe that's your company's logo. Maybe that's the LinkedIn symbol with your LinkedIn hyperlink to it. Maybe it's just your email address written again, hyperlinked. Make sure there's some type of color there. And then second or third, if I'm counting correctly, you have to be mindful about what colors that you're using. What do I mean by that? Certain colors evoke certain emotions. Like that bright orange color in the background here does not motivate for or move people to calmness, right? The reds and the oranges and the yellows are more of like emotion, like a movement color. You don't want people to move. You want people to hang out and chill and focus. Do you know, guys, open question for answers. Do you know what the most successful color for marketing and branding is? Yeah, getting a lot of responses here. Yeah, cool guys. The most successful color for marketing is in fact blue. So things to ponder. What color is Facebook's logo? What color's LinkedIn's logo? What color's Twitter's logo? What colors do hyperlinks turn when you click on them? There's a reason. That's not coincidence, guys. That's tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars in research. And yeah, Dimple, you're right. Blue is a calm color. It's what they discovered. It's why Walmart initially went with a blue as theirs. Cool. So, fair warning, guys, looks matter. Not your looks. You're all perfect, beautiful snowflakes. I mean, the look of your emails matter, right? Mike made a comment earlier, short to the point, higher response rates. Could not agree more. Absolutely. So guys, no more paragraphs anymore. If you have more than 2 sentences without some white space, go back, add some white space. It is way easier to read. Again, if you don't want to trust me on that one, just go to that journal article, read it for yourself, and validate what I'm saying. Here, though, is what I'm going to do to show you this. I'm going to ask you to read 2 things. I'm going to flash to them relatively quickly. Average attention span is 12 seconds for millennials. I think 8 for Gen Z as of like middle of last year, at least. I'm going to hold it for about 10 seconds, and I want you to read both of them. Ready? Cool. So which of those was easier to read, guys? Was it Batman or Superman, right? Which of these was better? Batman or Superman? Batman or Superman? Yeah, absolutely. It's Batman. Why is it Batman? Besides the fact that obviously Batman's a better superhero, proven 2/3 of the time in the comic books. Not going to get into that argument now. Yeah, it does kind of has to be Batman. So Ryan Carey nailed it. So this is easier to read and to track. So Dimple, really funny. Ready? You said easier to read, less info. Are you ready for this? They're the exact same email. Word for word, font for font, the same email. Why? Actually, like the psychological, physical, biological reason. Why is this one easier to read? Because we function based on sentences. When you have 1 or 2 sentences together, I know where each sentence starts and stops. So I can quickly scan and get an idea of what each sentence is saying. When you're looking at this, the only way you can know where a sentence starts and stops is based on periods and question marks, which means you then can't just quickly go and scroll sentence by sentence. You actually have to read them. This is draining, particularly for millennials and Gen Z. I read this and I'm just like, what? I don't want to see that. So spaces between your sentences, 1 to 2 sentences the most, before you add a return, or enter. Next, do not TLDR your messages. Mike, this is exactly what you were saying. I agree. Do not TLDR your messaging. Can we change Batman's logo color to blue as well? Sense, can you guys kick Dimple out of here, please? Just kidding. But I'm gonna find you on Facebook after this, Dimple. So, guys, TLDR stands for too long, didn't read. If you send me an email that is 2 paragraphs long, my response to you will be TL semicolon DR, too long, didn't read. That text message on the right from my mom, when I get a text message from her that is like a wall of text, I literally like dread opening it. I'll wait for something that I'm doing where I can just like sit down for a minute because it seems an exhausting amount of data. What's the ideal number of sections? 3 sections. 1 to 2 sentences per section. Yes, Mike, for my mom, I'll read it. Also, in this exact example, if you read that message, you're probably thinking, whoa, did his mom really send him that? Yes, she absolutely did. I copied that message, sent it to her, and said, hey, can you send this back to me? And she said, no, I'd never say that to you. I said, please, it would really help me with work. She did. And then I said, ha, 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 that's going on a slide that tens of thousands of people are going to see. Enjoy that. And now it's now. Thanks, Ryan. So guys, 3 sections, 1 to 2 sentences per section. If we're mathing, that's 6 sentences maximum. If some of you are going 6, oh my God, you're the people I'm talking to right now. All right, here we go. Oh, I love that. Tell Alan I said hey. So guys, amount of messages you send and how often. We are going to have a conversation around this because a bunch of you are going to balk at me right now, and I am like wildly okay with that. So we send 5 emails to each candidate. PwC put out a study in 2019 is when Jason Vogel gave a talk at Gulf Coast Symposium down here in Houston. And PwC did a study that said the average number of candidate touches it took to yield a response was 7 to 12. 7 to 12. Now, that means when you look at their profile, that's a touch. If you connect with them, that's a touch. Emailing, touch. Text, touch. In-mail, touch, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We send 5 emails to all of our candidates, and we never are emailing more than 200 people in a single campaign. There's some domain rep issues, some IP rep issues that go into that. And then there's also just the fact that like at some point you're just spamming people, and stop doing that, please. For the rest of us, stop doing that. Now, ready? 5 emails. We send the first one the first day, the second one 1 business day after, 2 business days after that, 2 business days after that, 1 business day after that. You are getting 5 emails from us in 7 business days. That is a week and a half. And this is what probably a bunch of you are thinking right now. Isn't that too many? Isn't that like way too many emails? What do we think, guys? Too many emails? Not too many emails? Just perfect because I'm presenting on it. And why the hell would I ever show you something that I was doing that was literally abysmal and tell you to keep doing it? Yasna, love you so much. Eric. Oh, Eric. Hey, Eric. Hi. Oh, miss you. Haven't spoken to you in like 5 days. So, guys, I am going to show you the data behind why we say it is not too many. For us, it is the right amount. And if we're not hitting response rates like we want to, we can add another couple of emails on there. So this is actual data. Now, it's a little bit older. I didn't want to use like totally current data because it is one of my clients, right, for the New York Times. So this was, I think, the data from back in like almost a year ago, right? If you look on the bottom right, it says candidates messaged, 3,440, okay? 3,440 candidates received up to 5 emails each in 7 business days. This is an actual question that I want an answer to from you guys. And then Tom and Mike, I will address kind of what you brought up here as well. Do you have data on which email tends to get the highest response rate? Rachel, I'll talk to that in a minute. 3,440 candidates. How many unsubscribes? How many candidates either said unsubscribe or said some variation of GFY, which is a not nice term telling me what I can go do? How many unsubscribes out of 3,440, meaning we've sent up to 17,000 emails total? How many people unsubscribed? Ryan McGrath, 10%. Eric Bowl thinks only 2. That is super generous of you. How many, guys? I want the interaction on this because it's super important. Because if you're not actually bought into like the percentage of people that said like, hey, stop emailing me, that's way too much, right? So I'm seeing numbers typically between the 10 to 20% range, right? Okay, guys, you ready for this? 11. No, I lied. Sorry, 10. 10 people. That's a 0.2% unsubscribe rate. So if you're thinking, isn't that too many? I'm telling you that I have 3,440 emailed candidates worth of data telling me, no, it's not. Now, New York Times, pretty well-known name brand. Let's actually do it differently. This is our worst unsubscribe rate we've gotten. This was, we were doing work for Business Insider, but we were sending emails from a recruiting agency's email address. So it was a third-party agency recruiter email address, and this one was a 2.2% unsubscribe rate. So if you're thinking, yeah, but that seems like so many emails, here's the deal, right? You're going to get one of three results when you send multiple emails. Number one, your emails suck and people delete them and don't read them. Do better with your subject lines. Number two, people get annoyed that you're annoying them with so many emails and unsubscribe or tell you where you can put your email. That means your emails suck. Do better. Be funnier. Be more authentic and personal. Or number three, you get messages from people saying, okay, you're really persistent. I take that as a compliment. Wow, that meme was so funny. Or okay, you got me. What's going on? Cool. I'm leaving like a pause for a hot second just to make sure that everybody's cool. I know that most people really struggle with that idea, but show me the data that says otherwise, and I will back down from sharing this. So here's an interesting one. Time check. 8 minutes. Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you so much. Guys, say you'll follow up in the calls or in the emails, excuse me. When you say you'll follow up, you're basically telling people like, hey, if you don't want me to keep emailing you, you should respond to me. Because remember, the purpose of sending an email is to get a response. Even if that response is no thanks, or I'm not looking right now, or I'm really happy at my company. That's great data. If someone says, I'm not looking for a new job right now, that's awesome. Guess what? Snooze that email for 3 months. I'll write back and be like, hey, we were in touch 3 months ago, just writing back in this same thread so you can see we were in touch. Just want to make sure things are still going well at your company. Hope all's well, man. Bye. Right? Because you've now got that like two-way connection. You're not going to go into their spam box. They responded to you. So mention, hey, if I don't hear back from you a couple of days, I'll follow back up. I know you're really busy, right? Boom, whatever that is. And the final thing for this, do not take my word for any of this. Test everything yourself. If you think what I'm saying sounds amazing, thank you. Still test it for yourself. If you think what I'm saying sounds like a crock of you know what, yeah, that's cool. I totally get it. Test it though. Test it. I would love to be proven wrong about any of this stuff, but people don't take the time to test it to find other better ways to do it. So use that, what they call, right, that iterative method. A/B test what you're doing, and then find the thing that consistently over a large enough sample pool works the best. And with that, yeah, be yourself, right? Haters gonna hate. I always like to close with a personal story. This is a true story. Every story I tell at the end of these presentations is totally 100% true, and as unembellished as my ego will let me be about it. So I have a younger sister who, as we've grown up, has turned out to be one of my best friends. Her name is Lauren, and Lauren is friggin' awesome. She graduated school in 3 years with a degree in accounting and a degree in finance, and then got her master's and MBA from, I don't know, Northwestern, I think. And she worked at New York Life for 9 years, I think. All right. If you know New York Life, they're a global insurance company. They're friggin' huge, super bureaucratic, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right. She was a financial analyst in the life insurance group, and she pinged me and said, "Hey, I'm looking to maybe leave New York Life for a new job. Would you help me?" I'm like, are you kidding? This is the only time in life I can professionally help you. Yeah, hell yeah, let's do this thing, right? So I told her, hey, I want you to go on, find any jobs that are interesting to you. I want you to send me the job description and I'm going to look up who the hiring manager is, get their email address, personal and professional, and you're going to email them a custom email that'll basically act as a cover letter, but it's going to be a really, custom email for them in that job. And we'll just get you right in front of the hiring manager. So, sends me over a couple of them. I think it was probably the second or third she sent me was for a manager of strategic finance in supply chain management for Bed Bath and Beyond. Okay, ready? One more time. Financial analyst at New York Life Insurance Company for 9 years wants to apply to manager of strategic finance of supply chain management at Bed Bath and Beyond. And I said, hey, you sure? She said, yeah, I think I'd be really good at it and I'd enjoy it. I said, okay, like, fine. I support you. I want you to be happy. I said, I need you to write me a really good letter, that we'll use as the email to reach out to this hiring manager. I kid you not, guys. I got this letter from her and it was like exactly what you think someone who's been a financial analyst in New York Life for 10 years would write, right? Dear hiring manager, I found your job description on LinkedIn and was very interested in the role. I believe that my skill set at New York Life would blah, blah, blah. God, so awful, right? And I told her, I was like, hey, this is like a little rough. You know that you could use the same message for like any job you apply to? And she's like, yeah. I was like, no. I said, hey, why do you want to work there? She said, well, I think my skill set from New York Life would line up really well. I'm like, hey, cut the crap. Like, I'm your brother. Like, don't do that shit, right? Why do you want to work there? And she's like, oh, well, I have 3 kids. I love going shopping there with them. I love the way their store is set up and their customer service. And I read an article that they were doing something in the supply chain world to try and compete with Amazon. And I said, cool. Why don't you write that down? And her exact response, she will attest to this, that was, I am not telling some VP at Bed Bath & Beyond that I have 3 kids in an opening email. And I said, do you not have 3 kids anymore? The youngest is my godson. Please tell me you still have 3 kids. So I pushed her, said, hey, I encourage you to do this. Please reach out with this letter. And wouldn't you know that my sister is the manager of strategic finance at Bed Bath and Beyond. She had zero interest, zero logic in getting that interview. She did not line up at all. Senior associate, you can see it right there in her background. The manager told her the only reason he called her is that her email sounded like somebody that he should talk to. So the moral of this, guys, authenticity trumps everything. Be yourself. Be okay with being yourself. You will be accepted. And if you're not accepted, you didn't want to be there anyway. Any other questions? Got like 30 seconds. Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome, guys. Thank you. All right. Well, if there's no more questions, I'm out. And guys, just a quick thanks for Sense. I want to give them a really quick shout out on this one, and I'm going to actually show you guys how I'm able to use their tool. I actually write out, like, this is my actual messaging that I use, building out email automations. And they have the same thing you can do with text message automation, which is super effective, and a bunch of like HR and recruitment tools. If you're an agency or corporate, guys, please do me a favor. If you enjoyed this webinar at all and you got something out of it, please do me a favor. Go check out Sense HQ. Give them a quick demo. I would appreciate that a ton. Without further ado, Sean, what's up, man?
Just wanted to say thank you, Mike. Great as always. The Batman nailed it. If you have any questions about Sense or would like to see a demonstration of our platform, Our senior account executive is Jessica Smith, and her email address is here for you.